Hey guys, welcome back. We have a weekend energy update to get into today. It is probably going to be a busy weekend. There is a highlighted theme on like relationship dynamics that I will say connecting with other people, but there's probably like a lot going on all weekend. Things to do, places to be, people to see. Saturday, I would say, is the most harmonious day of the weekend. The moon in Leo will be forming a sextile to the sun and Mercury conjunct in Gemini. Parties, celebrations, occasions like graduations, recitals, shows, performances. There might be a lot of stuff like that is going on Saturday. But Friday, on the other hand, this is a super busy day. The moon is making 8 contacts to various planets throughout the course of the entire day on Friday. I have noticed that when the moon is doing a lot tends to be happening in our daily lives and experiences. And so I would imagine that Friday might feel more like, I don't know, a couple of days in one than just one day on its own. And we are on Friday also coming out of the exact Mercury Sun Kazimi that happened late Thursday night into the early hours on Friday, depending where in the world you are. And that is also a busy energy that really highlights news, information, conversations, like a lot going on mentally. There's probably just a lot on our to-do list. This is a very energized weekend as well, with the moon transiting Leo, building into a conjunction with Mars that is going to come in on Sunday. People could have kind of a short temper this weekend as well. And with that Gemini energy, I don't think it's a good weekend to start fights. Arguments, debates, sort of like the back and forth of things is kind of primed out there as well. And we do have a Venus Chiron conjunction that is coming exact on Sunday. This could be hitting on some like relationship wounds or just painful situations in the context of other people, or even like financial situations and stuff like that. And it is being trined by the moon in Leo. Now, this is on one hand giving us a really good opportunity to actually heal, release, and let go of some things of that nature, but it could also be bringing up, I think, like fights, relationship conflicts, and breakups and breakdowns in relationships. If it's leaving your life right now, you guys, do not cling on to it. It is because that is not what's meant for you and something else is, and this is a time to let go. I can tell you that. So all that being said, we've got clearly a lot to talk about in our report for today. Tons of aspects going on out there. Let's get into it, put it all together, take a deeper look at our energetic blueprint for the weekend and where we're going as we head towards next week. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. Today is Friday, May 30th, 2025. My name is Aubrey. This is your astrological outlook of the weekend, where we are narrating the shift of the ages. In this video, we are just gonna take a good look at what we've got going on out there energetically for us throughout the course of the weekend and what our astro weather might indicate for us on the ground. So that's what we're doing. We're actually going to pretty much be picking up where we left off in the last video that I did, because if you recall, I was talking in that video about how we had a Mercury Sun Kazimi exact conjunction between Mercury and the Sun taking place in the sign of Gemini late Thursday night or overnight into the early hours on Friday, depending where in the world you are. And today is Friday, so we are coming out of that energy now. It really is quite active, and as I have also mentioned in my intro, Friday is it's probably going to be a super busy day. The moon is making tons of aspects throughout the course of the entire day on Friday, and they do start while the sun and Mercury are still in that conjunction, and we're going to be getting into all of that throughout the course of the report. But before we move in that direction and get more into what's going on with the lunar activity on Friday, I do want to address that Mercury Kazimi for a minute that we are coming out of as the morning dawns on Friday. Okay, there may have been some type of like flash of insight or weird dream or vision that occurred overnight. You could have like solved a problem, like woken up maybe with some type of solution, or if you are located where it was happening in the later evening hours on Friday, there could have been some very revealing conversation or information that made its way to you. We are in a week, if you guys have been following along with the astrology this week, or you saw the new moon watching my new moon video, or you have been, following the astrology of the Gemini new moon, this is a very, I think, revealing period of time that we are moving through right now. Very information oriented, very like learning themed, but it's like the things that we are learning because of a trine that was present between Pluto, Lord of the underworld, all things hidden, what's going on underneath the surface of things, and Mercury and the sun and the moon in the sign of Gemini for our new moon in Gemini that happened a couple of days ago. That was letting us know that really this entire Gemini season is gonna have a level of depth to it. There is like this Xray vision associated with all of the like mental, informational, conversational components of things. Things are probably going to be coming to light, and a Mercury Sun Kazimi in the sign of Gemini is another like light bulb moment. In astrology, it's kind of like a known thing that when the sun and Mercury come into their exact alignment together, this is when we are said to gain a piece of missing information, some type of clarity, some type of insight, some type of revelation, right along the lines of what that Gemini new moon had been indicating as well. So we're in a week right now that is all about sort of like what we're learning, what we're finding out, what is being disclosed, what is being discovered. And the sun and Mercury together, this can also be a very, very busy energy. So, and it's a mentally stimulating energy as well. So the mind could be sort of racing throughout the course of the week, and probably throughout the course of the weekend as well. The moon will be transiting Leo. We're going to talk about that in the report today, but this is energizing things. Mars is also in the sign of Leo right now. So we're going to have a Moon-Mars conjunction. Let me state, and I will state this probably a few more times throughout the course of the report, but this is because the moon is in Leo coming into the conjunction with Mars, okay? Like that on its own it's like a feisty energy, you know what I mean? It kind of fires us up, and it can be more conflict oriented. And then when we add the Gemini influence and emphasis as well, that's like the back and forth of things. Arguments, debates, disputes. We're just more energetically primed for people to be going at it. So if you don't want that to be a part of your experience this weekend, it is probably a good idea to refrain from instigating that type of thing, okay? Because it's just where people are just more oriented in that regard. Even if it's not their natural tendency, there is a very argumentative vibe going on out there. Now, back to the Mercury Sun Kazimi energy that I want to talk about before we get into all of this lunar activity that we've got going on Friday. There is also some reference, I think, to doubles, doublings, twins, matches, reflections, like mirror images, pairs, couples, siblings, co-workers, partners, relationships generally, the connections between other people. Also, choices or decisions could be emphasized somehow, and things to do with the air travel, airlines, airplanes, airline industries, transportation industries generally, maybe also like deals or agreements or problems being exposed having to do with airlines or airplanes or something like that. The degree where the Mercury Sun alignment took place last night, it happened at 9 degrees of the sign of Gemini, but in terms of the symbolism associated with that degree, we're actually going to look at the 10th degree, because when we're dealing with symbolism, we round up energy moves and waves. We read the wave of energy that is pulling in, getting stronger, manifesting, not the wave of energy that has passed and that is waning out. So we are looking at 10 degrees of Gemini in terms of the symbolism associated with that Cazimi. I said this yesterday, it is at an airplane performing a nosedive. And of course, this is a Gemini Cazimi. Also, we've also got Jupiter in Gemini, and it was trying that Pluto Aquarius energy. A lot of real powerful air energy right now, which to me puts an emphasis on the air itself, things traveling through the air. Gemini is also this, again, like very back and forth, travel centric type of vibe. And so there could just be, with all of those indications, something going on, especially right now, to do with air or airplanes or air travel. So lots of indications in that regard. And also these emphasize themes having to do with two of something, doubling of something, twins, mirror images, aside from the fact that, of course, this is a Gemini Mercury Sun conjunction, which is the sign of the twins, and the symbol itself is this, you know, symmetrical Roman numeral 2, basically. It also happened at 12:12 a.m. Eastern time. That is when the alignment came exact, which there's another double, or a set of 12s, which actually breaks down to a set of 3s, and I was talking about this in my last video as well. And that numerology breaks down to a 6, which is the Lover's card in the tarot, which is also the Gemini Mercury energy. So the concept of 2, by, double, maybe choices also, maybe needed to like choose between two things, or feeling pulled in two different directions, or feeling magnetically also like pulled or attracted to someone perhaps, or doing or saying or thinking something like again for a second time, maybe collaborating with somebody, getting something again, I don't know, but something about 2s. And also aside from that, so we've got the Gemini theme going on, and then we've got the exact duplicate in terms of the numerology association that breaks down into the number that is associated with the Gemini energy represented through the tarot. But we also have Uranus right now and on Friday at 29 degrees of Taurus. That Sabian symbol is 2 cobblers working side by side at a table. Another symbolic reference reinforcing this theme of 2s. And actually Uranus moves to that degree just as we are moving into the energy of Friday, and we also have all of this other energy set up that is suggesting pairs, doubles, twins, counterparts, co-workers, collaborations. So I find that to be interesting. Something like that could definitely be emphasized or coming up somehow on Friday or throughout the course of the weekend. Also, with the Sun and Mercury together in the sign of Gemini, even though the Cazimi has already passed on Friday, this is still probably going to be a very mentally active day. Gemini energy is very active itself. We got the ruler of that energy, Mercury, right there, and then with the Sun really highlighting everything associated with what Gemini Mercury energy brings. That's probably going to be busy and like out and about. Phone calls, emails, meetings, presentations, the debate, dispute end of things, options, opinions, choices, alternatives, decisions, noise, distractions, like the hustle and bustle of things, information, reading, writing, discussions, lots of that type of stuff likely to be a part of our experience, especially on Friday. But also now let's talk about the emotionally very active energy that we've got going on as well. The moon is doing the absolute most on Friday. The moon often makes aspects, but it usually doesn't make like 8 aspects. It's literally making 8 different connections to planets throughout the course of the day. And I have noticed that when the moon is doing a lot, making a lot of contacts, aspects, transits, it tends to translate into a pretty active, busy day in our experiences. And again, with that Gemini energy, we could really be feeling ourselves pulled in a lot of different directions. There could be like several different, I think I said earlier, storylines that are kind of integrating themselves somehow throughout the course of the day. But let's talk about this lunar activity. It literally starts at around like 4 or 5 a.m. Eastern time when the moon makes its first aspects. And I'm going to list them all to you in just a moment. And then the last contact though happens around 11 p.m. Eastern time. So really this lunar activity is encapsulating the entirety of the day on Friday, and a lot could just be fluctuating. So let's talk about what these transits are, and I'm going to list them in order for you. First of all, the first transit that the moon makes from the sign of Cancer is a trine to the north node in Pisces and a simultaneous sextile to the south node in Virgo. These are the destiny and karma points, okay? So this to me is indicating that there is some type of necessary or beneficial or fated or karmic significance to this series of events and transits that is about to play out throughout the course of the day Friday. So there could be like some type of significance to the variety of things, or just how things come together, or what goes on throughout the course of the day on Friday. So the first and second transits that we've got: moon trine, water trine between the moon in Cancer, north node in Pisces, south node in Virgo. Number 2, the moon in Cancer is going to square Venus in Aries, and then the moon in Cancer is going to square Chiron in Aries. And this is a building theme throughout the course of the weekend, actually, because the exact Venus-Chiron conjunction in the sign of Aries will take place on Sunday, and that also will be activated by the moon. It will be by trine when the moon enters Leo and hits the trine to those two planets in the sign of Aries. But relationship and partnership dynamics, connections could be coming up, emotional wounds or relationship issues could be sort of a theme that maybe starts to be triggered somehow with that square. That is the only square aspect that the moon is making, is to Venus and Chiron in the conjunction, and that also can be an energy that kind of presses on our wounds a little bit. So there could be a bit of emotional vulnerability coming through when the moon makes that square, and there could be some things that spark up on Friday that then trickle or snowball or build into maybe some bigger relationship issues that surface on Sunday. So we've got that. The fifth thing, the moon in Cancer then moves on and hits a sextile to Uranus in the sign of Taurus. Sudden change, sudden awakening. This could also have to do with partnerships or connections or collaborations, or things to do with other people, or financial situations. Could even have to do with like work type of stuff, like project oriented stuff. So there's also that. The moon then enters the sign of Leo. Not only do we have the moon making all of these hits, all of these aspects, but the moon also changes signs as a part of that process, bringing a bit of a vibe shift as well. So after contacting Uranus, the moon then enters Leo, and we begin our lunar Leo transits. Okay, the moon in Leo, first thing it does, what else do we have going on in a very early degree placement of fire signs? Oh, that's right. We currently have Saturn and Neptune in a conjunction at 0 and 1 degree of the sign of Aries. So as soon as the moon enters Leo, it then makes a trine to Saturn and Neptune in the sign of Aries. This is actually, I think, kind of a creative energy, like a plan, a vision, a constructive ideal perhaps coming to us somehow, especially following on the heels of that Uranian energy. It could also be bringing up like some self-interest ego type of energy, where there could be like an urge or a tendency to maybe like abandon responsibilities or standards somehow. That one could go a couple of different ways, but we've got that one activating as well. Lastly, as the moon ticks to the next couple degrees of the sign of Leo, what happens? Oh, that's right. It forms an opposition to Pluto, who is retrograding in the sign of Aquarius. So interesting, you guys. Like, we start off the lunar activity very early hours of the day on Friday with the moon aspecting the nodes to get this going. This fated or karmic process being indicated by this series of events that is kicking off throughout the course of the day with all that lunar activity, and then we end it with the force that represents like transformation, regeneration, purge, purification. So I don't know, with the moon and Leo opposing Pluto, after all of that, to close out the day literally around like 11 p.m. at night Eastern time, this is powerful emotions, powerful creative impulse as well, powerful self-expression, deep feelings, deep passions, maybe some powerful encounters or transformative experiences that we could be going through, coming to terms with, or just dealing with somehow as that Plutonic lunar energy comes through also. So the moon really is like lighting things up out there on Friday. It's going to activate a lot of people's charts, just because with all of those, everybody pretty much is probably going to have one of those 8 planets interacting with their own chart in some type of like significant or palpable way somehow. So a lot of people are going to be being activated by this, and as a result of that, there's probably going to be just like a lot transpiring, a lot going on. And as I was saying earlier, like it could feel like 3 days go on over the course of one day, just because of all of this simultaneous activity that happens over the course of Friday. Now though, we're going to transition and we're going to start talking about the energy of Saturday and Sunday. I do think, as I've said, generally this is a kind of upbeat, energized weekend. Especially Saturday, you may find yourself feeling a bit of extra pep in your step somehow. It is generally a harmonious day. I would say Saturday is probably the most harmonious day of the weekend. Have some fun on Saturday if you can. The chart really is calling for that. We've got an emphasis on Leo energy and an emphasis on Gemini energy, and both of these can have to do with like the inner child, joy, fun, self-expression. So if you've got an opportunity to celebrate or to just orient yourself in terms of doing something that you enjoy with people that you enjoy, or something that you find to be fun, this is this is what is being indicated for us on Saturday. So use it for that. I also, as I said, the moon transiting through Leo is building into conjunction with Mars on Saturday. This is not a conjunction yet, but we're getting there. So it is energizing us, but it could also be making people more argumentative and maybe just like short-tempered than they normally are. I do think that there's going to be like events going on Saturday though. Like I'm thinking parties, celebrations, like sports and games and shows, performances, gatherings, like recitals. We actually have the Earth on Friday to get the weekend started at 10 degrees of the sign of Sagittarius. That Sabian symbol is a theatrical representation of a golden-haired goddess of opportunity. And I feel like that imagery really kind of vibes quite well with what we have playing out energetically on Saturday. So it is probably very chatty, very expressive, very like performative energy in nature. And I would expect a lot of that type of thing to just be going on out there as the moon does build into the conjunction with Mars that will take place on Sunday. People though are probably a bit more like leaning into the ego and just maybe more verbally aggressive, and again like primed for these disputes and stuff like that. So not a great time to start drama, to get into it with people if you don't want to go down that road, because that's where that's going to lead. Other than that though, you guys, I do think Saturday is a pretty positive vibe day. The moon in Leo is going to be forming this harmonious sextile to Mercury and the sun in the sign of Gemini. I think people are generally going to be getting on quite well. Interpersonal relationships should go pretty well. This is a very playful energy, very childlike energy, and it invokes a connection to the inner child as well. Have fun if you can. Do something you enjoy with people you love. There could be like a healing element that comes through that type of activity as well on Saturday. And on that note, we need to move into the energy of Sunday, which could also be putting an emphasis on heart healing, whether it be something that we are finally healing from or some wound that is being inflicted that we now realize that we need to heal ourselves from. On Sunday, we do have the exact Venus Chiron conjunction that is aligning in the sign of Aries. And interestingly, this is going to be trined, as I said, by the moon transiting through Leo shortly after the moon in Leo makes the conjunction to Mars in the sign of Leo. Okay, the moon, and this is, I do think, as I mentioned earlier, that there could be breakups going on in relationship dynamics. There could be like fights and conflicts and breakups happening. People could be having short tempers. People could kind of be in their ego about things. Or it could be literally about what we're finding out, news, informations like secrets revealed that cause conflicts that lead to relationship breakdowns, perhaps, that are going on. But this is emphasizing wounding growing and or healing in regards to the heart. Okay, when we've got the moon is in the sign of Leo, that has to do with the heart. That also has to do with romance, and it's forming this trine to Venus, ruling relationships, other people, matters of the heart. Chiron, that is the wounded healer, teacher, master archetype. So it's Gemini season, you guys, and we know, as we started out this weekend with the Mercury Sun Kazimi, 12-12, 3-3, the lovers, and we've been moving through this Venus-Mars fire trine also over this past couple of weeks. But Gemini season, doubles being emphasized. Things are going to go one of two ways, I feel like, in relation to how this Venus-Chiron energy manifests. Number one, with the Leo moon, whatever joy, passion, creativity, or love we are engaging in this weekend facilitates the healing of a karmic wound in relation to love, to relationships, to other people, or to our heart. Okay. Number two, some type of hurt, some type of pain, some type of trauma, some type of wounding, or painful emotional experience, experience or interaction, maybe inflicted by others, that wounds our heart in such a way that we are now karmically required to begin to heal ourselves, to go through some type of healing journey. It's probably going to be one or the other. We're either coming to the end of a healing journey and stepping back into our joy with this, or we are experiencing something that is setting us up for some type of healing journey that is ultimately going to help us release ourselves, grow, and align with what is actually meant for us. Both of these things are ultimately good. Just one of them is less perceivably so on the surface. And keep in mind, okay, this conjunction between Venus and Chiron is happening at 26 degrees of the sign of Aries in terms of the symbolic placement. That Sabian symbol is a man possessed of more gifts than he can hold. All right. So this entire time right now that we're moving through, and I've been talking about this, I feel like, for years now, but it's very real. And as Uranus concludes the transit of Taurus that's been ongoing for the past nearly 7 years from the Western perspective, this entire period of time has been about, on some level, removing blockages to growth that have been limiting, stifling, suppressing, detaching us from authentic value and potential. As this transit culminates, as Uranus approaches the last couple of degrees of the sign of Taurus, we're really, I think, going to start to experience the impacts of either, what has been removed as we are set up for a process of growth that becomes clear right now when we find ourselves in an awakened or liberated state where we can actually move towards that. Or if, things have been working to shake themselves loose throughout the course of this past couple of years, this really may be when the big impact comes through that, hammers on the earth and creates a chasm wide enough that we find ourselves either falling through it or emerging out of it somehow. But either way, we're going to be released from something that has been preventing us from doing what universe wants us to do at this point in time right now. This is, again, and Uranus has been in a trine to the south node as well, which indicates sudden release from karmic blockages, or sudden release from just karmic situations that have been preventing us from aligning with the north node energy, which is destiny, which is fate, which is the, collective path of evolution and growth. So there is something that is going on right now in the context of this Venus energy, Uranus being in the sign of Taurus. Also, that's why I'm bringing Uranus up, because Uranus has been in the sign of Taurus, also ruled by Venus, having to do with where we have been misperceiving our value and therefore not, truly stepping into the role that we are meant to play now if we haven't been able to arrive there up until this point in time. So this entire period of time right now is about helping us to come to a point where we can grow, discover a greater purpose, and step into that potential and begin to really move towards it. And whatever painful situation could be coming up as a result of this Chiron influence pressing on the heart, pressing on relationships or financial situations this weekend, with the conjunction happening at that degree and with the trine from the moon also. Like, somehow this is also a gift, okay? It is helping us to discover our value. It is helping us to discover our purpose. It's helping us discover our potential, even if it is only through putting us in a position where we now have to heal ourselves, and through that process we discover, who we really are, what we're really capable of, what our true value is, and are no longer willing to, live out maybe the karmic cycles from the past that had kept us from arriving to that point until this period of time. Chiron and Venus together, you guys, this is, putting salt in the wounds, can make us feel raw, vulnerable. It can surface wounds that maybe have been suppressed or repressed, and it's going to probably be in the context of other people, money, value, worth, peace, balance, reciprocity, love, beauty, relationships generally, or in the sign of Aries, our own self-concept. How relationship wounds that maybe happened in early childhood had detached us maybe from our personal truth, or aligned us with a self-concept that really wasn't who we really are, and was more about what other people wanted us to be or what other people told us we should be. And as a result of that, maybe there's been some schism going on somehow between, our like authentic identity and what we feel like we've had to, the person that we have like molded ourselves or conformed ourselves into. And maybe something along those lines could be surfacing here, like in that regard somehow. But with that Leo moon trine also, this is energy that is urging us to channel pain into creative inspiration. This can be real healing actually on a soul level, with the Chiron influence present as well, and the moon having connotations and ruling the soul experience in the sign of Leo. They're like creative self-expression in the context of maybe some of this pain, right? Okay, it can help us in this energy. But this is a time of release, you guys. This is a time of letting go. As I was saying in my intro, we have Saturn and we have Neptune in a conjunction in the sign of Aries right now. That Venus-Chiron conjunction also happening the sign of Aries, while the moon is in the conjunction to Mars, ruling both the position of Saturn and Neptune in their conjunction, also Venus and Chiron in their conjunction, trying to force what seems to be unraveling right now, trying to hold on to it, trying to overly control it. There is nothing good that's going to come from this. This is the time to let it go, to forgive, to open your mind to possibilities, prepare to upgrade or reinvent yourself. Another super prominent theme right now. We are very supported in any process of personal upgrades that we attempt to make right now. Create a vision for what's next. Trust that if you let go of what's meant to leave your life, you open the door to what is actually meant to come into your life right now. Have faith, trust the process, educate yourself on something unusual or different or obscure or interesting or something that you've never known or understood before. That type of thing is very supported right now. This is great energy for self-analysis, figuring ourselves out on the deeper levels, like addressing some of the shadow side issues, learning about our own subconscious mind and subconscious programming, changing and altering and editing our habits and our routines. I'm telling you, if we embrace change right now and work on self-improvement, self-awareness, you're going to find yourself seemingly cosmically supported. If we are trying to force things, to control outcomes, to overly manage things, to hang on to that which is slipping through our fingers, it's just not going to work out, okay? This whole entire energy right now is trying to facilitate our growth, trying to facilitate our success, trying to facilitate some type of personal rebirth or transformation. And I do think that if we like get in alignment with that flow and don't work against it, it could be quite personally amazing, the changes and the progress we've made in maybe a shorter period of time than you could think or imagine. We also have Mercury at 11 11 degrees of Gemini on Friday when we get the weekend started. Again, like 11 Gemini to me always looks like 11 because it's, 11 and then it's the Gemini sign, the Roman numeral 2. And of course, 11 is also one of those mirror images numbers. It's just all over the place. But that Sabian symbol, I love the Sabian symbol of 11 Gemini as well. And Mercury's ruling everything right now. Mercury's the ruler of the cycle that we're in. That Sabian symbol is newly opened lands offer the pioneer new opportunities for experience. And then we've got the position of the North Node, which kicked off all of those transits to get the weekend started. That Sabian symbol is the purging of the priesthood. So again, it's like there's a whole new frontier with an entirely new and unlimited range of experience and opportunity that is available to us as we are able to purge the faulty belief systems or situations or karmic patterns that have limited our growth and potential and experience of our own purpose and value in the past. So this is our opportunity, you guys, to turn pain into power, experience into wisdom, and redirect the course of our future in a way that suits us and gives, purpose to our lives based on the things that are being disclosed, uncovered, and that we are being made aware of as we move through the energy of this week. And it is a powerful time. We are moving through a lunar cycle right now that was characterized by a trine to Pluto retrograding through the sign of Aquarius. Big corrections being made, big awakenings taking place, and some very, very powerful, influential, and transformative opportunities, experiences, and interactions coming at us throughout the course of this next couple of weeks. And that is how I feel like things are coming together for us throughout the course of this weekend. So that's what I have to say, you guys, for our report of the weekend. I am going to get us a synchronicity card now, a final piece of guidance or advice from God, Great Spirit, Universe. What else do we need to know? That was fast. And look at that, you guys. Our guidance for the weekend says obstructions removed. What have I been saying? This is energy about removing obstructions to growth. If it is leaving your life right now, let it leave. It's because it is not what is meant for you. It is acting as a hindrance to your growth and to you being able to actually become and receive that which is divinely oriented, aligned, and meant for you. Again, like this whole soulmate thing, right? This whole like divine pairings, these mirror images. Another way to read this, okay, if it resonates for you, it's like there is some type of divine alignment that is trying to meet us, trying to reach us, trying to magnetize to us. But if there's anything in the way that would be blocking that arrival, this is the time when it's going to go. And we are best to frame our mind in that regard, okay? As we approach whatever approaches us throughout the course of the weekend. This card says obstructions removed. Rest in me, I have gone ahead and removed every stone. God has gone before you and removed every obstacle. Any obstacle you now perceive is a product of your own imagination. This is also Saturn and Neptune together. Neptune breaks things down. Saturn represents obstacles and obstructions. There is a dismantling, I'm telling you, of the things that have previously limited our ability to do what we're supposed to be doing right now. God has gone before you and removed every obstacle. Any obstacle you now perceive is a product of your own imagination. And Neptune's also the imagination. That's very on point. Let go. That's what I've been saying. Let it go. Let go and let God lead you. There is no wrong action. There is only right action. Follow the leads which come to you. So another very synchronicity card for our weekend, you guys. That's what's going on out there. Obstructions removed. This is just as much about healing our heart this weekend as it is about, you know, these wounds surfacing that could be making us maybe relive some previous traumas or put us in a place where we feel like we are experiencing some wounds being inflicted or something somehow. A man possessed of more gifts than he can hold, right? It's coming through in so many different ways. So we are moving through a process of transformation leading to growth, and it is time perhaps to let some things go as we move forward in this new direction. That's what I have to say. I'm gonna stop talking now, but I hope you guys liked the video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel, you guys. Share it with your friends if you think they would also enjoy this type of astrology content. Leave me comments. I am so grateful for your presence and participation on my channel. I am very also thankful to have all of you guys narrating the shift of the ages with me. Let me know if you are having experiences that go on with you that align with what I'm talking about in these videos. That's very valuable information to me, and I really appreciate when you guys drop me a comment and let me know if this stuff resonates with you. Thank you again so much for being here. If you want to know what's on this whiteboard, I have a Facebook group that is linked in my description box below. Click that link, you'll find the group. That's where you will find the photos of these boards if you want to see the whole thing. And come back with me on Monday, you guys. We have a whole new month of astrology to get into, June 2025, and I will be back to get the whole thing kicked off on Monday. You should come too. You don't want to miss it. Exciting times ahead, and I will be here to talk all about it. So I will see you then, guys. Have a beautiful weekend, and until Monday, bye.